TikTok, time to rock. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon to everyone who's watching from all over the world. It's your friendly neighborhood philosopher here, D-Wood. With me now, we've got Lipiano, a.k.a. Orthodox Lips, Muslim, with the duck lips. Hey, Lipiano, how you doing? His lips are so full and luscious, he can't even speak, ladies and gentlemen.
Beast. Yeah, we were just thinking about Lipiano, so yeah.
Someone just sent me a Dawa drama video and stuff like this, and I clicked on it for like a couple seconds, and they were going back and forth about Lipiano. And we were talking about what an awesome name that is. Hey, look.
The gayest thing I've heard in my entire life. I think it refers to him being from Libya or something. I don't know.
Lipiano. It sounds too close to lesbiano.
But it is lesbian, but yeah.
Here we have Piper says apostate duck lips. You should start up a channel called Apostate Duck Lips. What's funny is that's exactly what his picture looked like. And I already said it before. I only knew him for that picture, and then I was like, oh man, we're all making fun of him because of his lips. I wonder if that's appropriate to make fun of a man because of the way he's born. But then I actually saw him in a clip, and he has perfectly normal lips, which meant that he was actually doing duck lips for the picture he wanted to use, which means he actually had to go from this to, hey, you're about to take my picture? Okay.
Hey, let me pose for a picture. I want to put it on my profile.
That way everyone will think I want to kiss them. Every man who comes on my channel will know that I want to kiss him and give him a big smooch. Why are we even talking about this?
Hey,
Lipian. Well,
big breaking news. So just an hour ago, Donald Trump posted, and then Benjamin Netanyahu also posted, and then the whole media and everybody else posted that Hamas and Israel just signed the deal. They just signed the peace deal for the first time. So after 2 years of fighting, one day after October 7th, after the anniversary of October 7th, Hamas and Israel actually just signed the deal that Donald Trump proposed with the help of different nations led by Egypt and others. So Hamas actually agreed to the deal, and according to Donald Trump, actually, let me quickly read the thing that Donald Trump posted.
You want Donald Trump's post? Because I already got that ready, man.
Okay, yeah, read it.
You said there was breaking news, and I was like, there's breaking news all over the place. I only had time to get one thing ready, and this was what I saw when it was trending. All right, ready? So this is from Donald J. Trump. You can tell he's a super patriot by the tattoo he has on his face.
Oh yeah.
He says, "I'm very proud to announce that Israel and Hamas, one great, one really bad, have both signed off on the first phase of our peace plan. Some have said that it's the greatest peace plan humanity's ever seen. I won't say that, but it's true. This means that all of the hostages will be released very soon, unless they want to take things in a different direction, but I'm sure they don't want to do that. And Israel will withdraw their troops to an agreed-upon line as the first steps toward a strong, durable, and everlasting peace," some people say. How can you say it will be everlasting? Do you really know? Yes, I do. Everything I do, if you've noticed anything about me, it's that everything I do lasts forever. All parties will be treated fairly. And when I say fairly, I mean if you're a terrorist, we're going to treat you fairly according to what you deserve. It'll be great. This is a great day for the Arab and Muslim world, Israel, all surrounding nations, and the United States of America. And we thank the mediators from Qatar, Egypt, and Turkey. You know about that guy over in Turkey. He knows all about rigged elections, as I pointed out to his face, who worked with us to make this historic and unprecedented event happen. As the great Candace Owens has said, blessed are the peacemakers. Got that from Andrew Tate. Who got it from Candace Owens? He thanked Candace Owens, and so will I, for saying, blessed are the peacemakers. Sincerely, Donald J. Trump, President of the United States of America, and the next winner of the Nobel Peace Prize, and all Nobel Peace Prizes from here on to eternity, because the peace is everlasting, and if anyone deserves a peace prize forever, it will be the one who gave everlasting peace to the Middle East. Thank you.
And all the other prizes.
And good
night. Yeah. So now there's a little bit of delusion here, because he's basically saying that this is going to be an everlasting peace, and he also said in another post,
breaking news: Apostate Prophet calls Donald J. Trump delusional.
And he also said that this is going to bring an end to 2,000 years of fighting or something like that, which is kind of a little bit delusional. However, that said, it is an actual end to the fighting and an end to the war now if it goes through. So right now, the first phase is that Hamas releases all the hostages, alive and dead, and as soon as all the hostages are released, Israel retreats to an agreed upon first line. That is when the first phase is in motion. From then on, the details will be fleshed out, but Israel is then supposed to slowly give control over the region that it has occupied in Gaza to an international force that will take things from there and will start controlling the region and will disarm Hamas and send their members away or give them amnesty or something like that, which I think is a terrible idea, but still, I guess they'll work it out somehow. And then they're supposed to then put a different force or a different, trained Palestinian force in place of Hamas that will be watched over by this international body. So these are some of the details. We talked about this pretty much a week ago or two, but the first phase is about to happen now. That's what they agreed upon. And if it happens, then this will mean that the hostage crisis will be over. All the hostages will have been released, and there will no more be any, demand to release the hostages. The worries of the hostage families and all that will be over. The thing is, of course, people wonder if after this first phase is over and after the hostages have been released, if the deal will stick after that part. But we will see. It's kind of funny. I'm just about to go to Israel in a week, in a little bit more than a week, and it'll be kind of interesting to go there, and the war is basically over.
Yeah, as far as I can tell, the most important thing right now is hostage release. I don't have a lot of confidence that this is going to bring about a long-lived peace, let alone an everlasting peace. Certainly hope it does. But I mean, if you're Hamas, you got to think things are going too well for you right now, right? Everyone thinks, look at Gaza. Gaza's been blown to bits. Yeah, Hamas wanted that. Hamas wanted that because it's part of a long-term strategy of turning more and more people against Israel and so on. Part of a long-term strategy. So if I were Hamas, I'd be thinking right now, I don't know. It's kind of going the way we wanted from the beginning. But anyway, I hope things turn out better than I suspect. But we'll be super awesome regardless. Even if the peace only lasts like a couple days or something like that, we'll be awesome to get the hostages released. That will be awesome day. But we have to wonder, AP, we have to wonder if all of a sudden peace plan goes through, peace plan succeeds, someone else takes control. It's not Hamas. I understand Candace has got other like conspiracies she can focus on. What with Charlie Kirk and men pretending to be women and so on. What are like Jake Shields and Dave Smith and all the Suleiman Ahmed? What are these guys going to do?
That's the fun. That's the thing. That's why I want the war to be over. I don't really care about the deaths. That's I want the war to be over primarily because I want these grifters to no longer have anything to grift over.
You have to wonder. Hey, we should start making predictions and bets. Like, what will their next grift be? It was easy. It was easy for the past 2 years. It was easy. If you wanted to jump into grifter mode, it was an easy thing to do. Now, all of a sudden, if there's a peace deal, we got to find something new. That can be some difficult work. Little side note, AP. I haven't followed the most recent developments, but I remember initially Trump was saying that there would be some group to run Gaza, and it wouldn't be Hamas. And he said it'd be some group, and it would include like Tony Blair and stuff. And then Hamas was responding and like, no, it's got to be Palestinians and so on. So it would seem that there's going to be a disagreement there, right? Like one side is going to say, nope, it's got to have some non-Palestinian leadership there because we don't fully trust that you guys aren't terrorists. And Hamas is saying, no, it's got to be Palestinian. So we need a group that is loved by both sides, both by non-Muslims and by Muslims. And the only group I can think of that is loved by both sides is the Zut people.
Yeah.
So can we get a team of Zut in there?
We probably could.
That would be good. That would be the path forward. And it would also make sense of all these, like the agreement is we give your hostages back. You guys retreat behind this line. We can then call that the Diddy line because the Zut are going to be coming in. You know what I mean? And everyone can be watching from behind that line as the Zut lead what's left of Hamas and stuff.
Yeah.
And have complete control over them physically. And
that might be a good idea to bring in an Indian force to take care of the situation. Yeah,
we agree. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have the D Wood and AP addendum to the Trump peace plan. They haven't figured out who the leadership's going to be. They've agreed to parts of it, and that's great. But there's a disagreement. We have solved that. Everybody loves the Zut people. Everyone loves the Zut. So let's get some Zut up in there.
Zut.
Yeah. Let's get some Zut up in that situation. All aboard the Zut train, everyone. All right. Let's take these first batch of super chats, and then we're gonna. If you see any more news about this that we want to. Oh yeah, no. I was going to just take a couple of super chats, but yeah, there's some of these are actually interesting. Someone just mentioned about Steven Crowder. Yeah, we'll get down to there. We are going to go through Cameron Bertuzzi's video. Lots of people have been mentioning it. It's gone, I can't say fully viral, but it's gone pretty viral for an apologetics video about the Islamic dilemma. It's got about 250,000 views. That is a lot of views. So we're going to actually check this out, and I've got the link in the description in case you want to watch that and share it separately. So we'll watch it together. We'll comment on it. I'll make fun of Cameron a bunch for being Italian and for anything else I want to make fun of him about. Well,
Cameron Pepperoni's video 10 days ago, 235,000 views. Nice.
That's a lot. That's
Cameron
the power.
Pizzeria is really going.
Power places. Of the Islamic dilemma. Yeah, so we're going to watch Cameron. We'll try to understand him through his heavy Italian accent, everything, and all his constant pizza analogies and all his examples taken from Super Mario Brothers.
Margarita pizza.
Margarita pizza is like the Islamic dilemma, eh? It's hard to understand, but we'll get through it. But I want to check these out. When we get down to that Steven Crowder comment, that's interesting. Wait for it. Words with a clock as the A. What? What's this about? Wait for it.
What?
What's this? This is our buddy Ida. What's this mean? Wait for it. Words with a clock.
I don't know. I don't get it, Ida. I don't get it, Ida.
We're a little slow, Ida. David, what is your email? I need to message you. You can find that on my YouTube homepage. I feel guilty that I post a lot of super chats on AP Live, so now I'm going to post a super chat on David's Love You Guys. Awesome.
No.
Yeah, I'm always like, why is Ida like AP so much, but not me? Gark ain't no snitch. That's true. He stands with his crew. Hey, every time one of us says Gark ain't no snitch, the other one should jump in with, yeah, he stands with his crew.
No.
After the zooting of Hamas, they have succumbed. What's wrong with you people?
Zootington.
David, I adore the Trump voice. Everyone loves the Trump voice. You guys know who does like the best Trump impression ever, but you'll never see it? I had my cousin Eric in one video like a few years ago because he was telling this hilarious story. He was just telling it to me in the hospital, and I was like, "Oh, I got to record you saying this." But a couple of you may remember because I posted it. It was too hilarious. I said, "Look, man, you got to retell that story because I'm going to record you saying it," and then I posted it. But he was talking about Anthony Weiner. So Anthony Weiner couldn't stop sending various pictures to ladies. He was supposed to be mayor. He was going to be mayor of New York, but he couldn't stop sexting ladies and stuff. Anyway, my cousin Eric told this awesome story about he saw Anthony Weiner in Central Park as he was walking through it, and he was talking to my cousin Eric was talking to his buddy, and Anthony Weiner was like behind him, and he said, all I did was I go, Anthony Weiner. And all of a sudden, he says he turned around, and Anthony Weiner's like right in his face, right? Like this guy's like super, doesn't like anyone talking about it. So, but it was the way he was telling the story that was cracking us up. He says, so I turned around right there, Weiner in the face. And his whole story, he's talking about Weiner in the face, Weiner this, Weiner that. And he's going, what's going on? This ongoing battle between me and Weiner. And anyway, long story short, my cousin Eric had Anthony Weiner's ex-wife, Huma Abedin, who was Hillary Clinton's campaign manager. My cousin had her credit card and still had it because Anthony Weiner dropped it there. So Anthony Weiner, even after the divorce, still had her credit card. And then he dropped it. And anyway, my cousin Eric ended up with it. Anyway, that kid, if you listened to him, you could not tell that you were not listening to Donald Trump, man. You couldn't tell.
You know what's so funny about this?
Well,
this reminds me of when I was a kid. Sometimes, my parents, especially when my mother would get together with relatives from their village in Turkey somewhere, their crappy village, and of course they had lots to talk about of those people that they all knew and nobody else knew. And then we would sit there, their family gathering, and they would talk about how some person from that village back then did something, and they would and a few people among themselves would find it very funny and laugh about it, and the rest of us would think, that's very interesting, but we have no idea who you're talking about.
Nice. Talking about Anthony Weiner, man, and my cousin Eric.
I know.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Oh yeah. Hey, and Anthony Weiner, he went by his online name for these chat groups and for these texting was Carlos Danger. And so anyway, my cousin says, so I turned around, Weiner in the face, and and he says, so Weiner's like, what'd you say? What'd you say? My cousin's just quiet. And Anthony Weiner goes, that's what I thought. And he turns around and starts walking away. But my cousin's from West Virginia, right? Like me, he's from like hillbilly land. So you can't he's like, I can't let Weiner walk away and think that he beat me and stuff. So as he's walking away, I yell, hey, Carlos, aren't you a little close to the school here? But, like he's not allowed near schools because he's a pervert. Anyway, fun stuff. All right. Let's see. Veritas says, Mandace now claiming she knows 3 people who said Charlie Kirk knew he might get killed around the day he was. She is such an embarrassment, milking his death.
You know what's interesting? I had a dream last night. In fact, in my dream, Abraham Lincoln appeared to me. He came to me in my dream and he said to me, hey, you got to watch out for that Candace Owens. Yep. She's pretty insane. She's pretty insane. I regret everything I have done. So that's what he told me. And Nobody, people might not believe this, but I believe it
No,
because I dreamt.
no, I do. See, we have confirmation because he was in my dream and he said the exact same thing. So we have like
Oh,
more confirmation than Candace and her delusions.
oh, interesting. That's
Oh
cool.
gosh. This is a woman who is hell bent on division and being the cause of it. Will we ever see This Week in Jihad? It's been a month. You might occasionally see it if something really important happens, but we didn't announce this, but Robert was basically saying he has tons of stuff and he has to cut back on certain things because we're getting older and stuff. He says he just has to cut back. He's doing too much and stuff, and so yep, that is suspended indefinitely unless we decide to bring it back for something. Let's all pray for peace and return of all hostages. Yeah,
Inshallah.
really hoping Hamas doesn't back out before the hostages are returned. YouTube won't let me say zooted. What are you talking about? You just said it. You just said it right now in this super chat. Zooted.
Zoot, zoot.
Funny about Fuentes Owens is if it's just about being America first, why are they crying about Gazans and defending Hamas? Sounds Palestine first.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
they do.
Mm-hmm.
Just like Jake Shields, he posted about, I just don't want to be involved in this. I don't want my money to be involved in this. I don't care about this and this. And then a few days ago, he posts from the river to the sea. Does that sound like you don't want to be involved in this?
No.
Or does it rather sound like you just hate Jews?
Yeah, that's what it sounds like there. Yeah, it's weird. People have all these different positions and they have to name them like they're our real focus is this, but at the end of the day, it's just about hating Jews.
Yeah.
Doesn't Quran say to make peace when Ummah is weak? Yeah, they are supposed to. But if you're referring to what I'm talking about with Hamas, that's separate. That's part of a long-term strategy. And if I'm saying, if Hamas is sitting there looking, going, nope, you know what? Look at the percentage of people who are turning against Israel. We need to stay this course. Unless they've got another plan in mind and like, okay, now we can go to next part of the plan. Momo had the only long peace Islam will ever know. That's true.
Correct.
That's what Zoot did. Just hit me that Charlie isn't here to see this. Oh, yeah, the peace. Also, Tucker criticizes Jews for caring about Israel, but seems like his care for non-American Christians in Gaza is driving him against Israel. I don't believe that for a second. His care for non-American Christians in Gaza? I don't believe that. I think non-American Christians in Gaza are being used as a tool like everything else. It's only been, I think it's been like a couple dozen Christians who've died. I think it's a couple dozen Christians who've died in all this.
There are
war.
less than 1,000 Christians in Gaza. So the Gaza Strip has a population of 2 million, over 2 million people. Of those, only less than 1,000 people are Christians. So anyone who actually makes the excuse of the Christians in Gaza, what about the Christians? I'm sorry, you're full of it.
Yeah, I just looked it up. Based on accounts from church officials and aid groups, at least 44 Christians have died in Gaza since the war started in October 2023. So 44. Now, keep in mind, you don't want anyone dying and so on. But my point is, if your concern was really Christians dying, there are other places where lots more Christians are dying. And if I don't see a peep out of you about those, I don't think that your main focus is really Christians dying.
Yeah. But if you say, I just care about it because of Christians, I'm sorry, you're full of that.
Yeah. New Islamic dilemma: must be sinner to be forgiven to enter Jannah, but Jesus was man taken and sinless.
Everybody wants to make a new Islamic dilemma today.
It is the Middle East. What peace? I really do wish, but I'm realistic as well. Yeah, I'll go ahead and say this. If this peace deal just goes through, even if it's just temporary or something like that, if the hostages are returned and so on, I would say Donald Trump deserves the Nobel Peace Prize. If he somehow gets some long-lasting, everlasting peace or something like that, if that actually works, I would say he gets the Nobel Peace Prize every year that there's peace, that the peace lasts. Just skip everyone else. Skip everyone else. Every year that this peace is still lasting, he gets the Peace Prize. Candace trying to tie Josh Hammer to Kirk murder. Yeah, I haven't been following it today, but I did see her thumbnail was like, what else is Josh Hammer lying about? So basically everyone who's close to Charlie is getting attacked by Candace Owens.
I hope that people sue her in high numbers. I hope that Turning Point USA actually files a huge lawsuit against her. And with all the other people that she slandered. I really hope so.
I
really hope she gets sued brutally.
I do as well. Algorithm whores got to go back to the strip joint. That's true. As far as all those grifters. To be honest, I don't think Zutdis is a grifter. She's loco. You can be both. Here we go. Steven Crowder wants to go to Dearborn. Team up? Probably not. We don't know. I don't really know Steven, but I'd be all in favor of multiple groups going. Like Steven would probably show up, go somewhere, and put up a sign, Islam is bad or something like this. Sharia is bad. Change my mind and have a discussion like that. Whereas I'd go with like God Logic and IP and AP, and we'd set up cameras and be taking all challengers on Islamic and stuff and apologetic stuff. So, no, I would probably not going to be a team up. But will Muslims promote No Zut November? Of course not. Of course not. They will never promote that. Zoot all year round, 24/7, 365. Zoot, zoot. New dilemma, too. Jesus was sinless, but Muslims compelled to conquer, kill, opposite of Jesus. But your Bible's been corrupted. Oh, no, wait. Got some problems. I'm praying for the best. Yep. The reconstruction and peace plan must be modeled after what happened in Japan after World War II. Anything less will fail. Well, you got a bigger problem in that you might be able to do everything that happened in Japan. You've got a completely different kind of group. You've got a group that is hell-bent on annihilating Jews. So kind of hard to move forward with that as your foundation. Did you guys see John McRae's latest video on Candace Owens' take on Charlie Kirk letter? Thoughts, please. No, I didn't see it yet. I saw that he posted one. I didn't see it, but it's probably good. You always fall for it. It's a super sticker. Oh, the thing earlier when I was like, what's Ida talking about? It was a super sticker. That's why we couldn't figure it out. He said, I always fall for it. That's true. I'll be sitting there. What is this talking about, man? The Jews ended the war so that I could not make money grifting off the war and them. Candace Owens, most likely. That would be funny. Hearing some of these guys. And the Jews ended the war just so we couldn't keep making piles of money off them. They're so selfish. They should keep up the war so that we can keep grifting. As a pastor, you should feel privileged that your channels are the only ones in which I send inappropriate super chats. This is my vice. We are quite honored. Zoot away, my friend. Zoot away. What presents must I pay? What's penance must I pay to get you to unblock me on X? Whatever I did, I'm sorry, Dawood. I would have no idea. I block like probably 50 people a day. It's basically someone says something like, I don't want to hear from this again. Boom, I block. Or if someone's wasting my time, about to start arguing, and I'm like, this is gonna waste my time. I want to respond. It's better to just block, and then I forget about it instantly. So what'd you post to me, good God? What'd you post to me, good Godfather? Is that your channel name on X?
Probably.
Hold up. Hey, good Godfather. What's your channel name on X? Is it Good Godfather? Let me see. Good Godfather. I don't see anything. Anyway, I'll check it out later. I'll try to figure out what you did that annoyed me and made me think, I never want to hear from this person again. Ongoing battle between Wood and Winger. Yeah. There's going to be no peace between there's going to be no peace between me and Winger ever. So let Trump solve that one. I turned around, wiener in the face, is what Momo said in his meeting with the Al Zut. That's true. Nick Fuentes, meet Muhammad in the Boom Boom Room. Yeah, we just need someone dorky enough to play Nick Fuentes, right? Like, you could get people who do the voice, but who looks like him? I can believe Charlie came to her in a dream and said she was betrayed. She betrayed him. Yeah. Yeah, what? Yeah, imagine Charlie showing up in your dream and he says, I've been betrayed. She's like, oh, I'll save you. Like, no, I mean by you evil attention whore. Heard about Hassan and his dog. Muslims hate dogs.
Oh yeah, did you see that story? Did you see what Hassan? So there's since this morning a video went viral in which Hassan Piker is live streaming, and he has a dog in his background, and the dog is always the dog's name is Kaya, and it's always in the corner on this little dog bed, and I don't know what happened, but he usually has the dog sit there. Sometimes the dog walks around, but he usually has the dog sit there. And then he was recently gone, and apparently while he was gone, his mother was taking care of the dog. But at some point during the stream, the dog Kaya gets up and starts walking around slowly, carefully, wants to step away, and then and Hassan at the moment is already ranting about how much he hates America because the internet connection is inconsistent or something like that. And then he notices that the dog is trying to walk around. So he's like, "What are you doing, Kaya? What is wrong with you?" And then he zaps the thing, the shock collar. Apparently his dog is wearing a shock collar. So he zaps it, and the dog very loudly, painfully yelps and goes back to its spot. And then he gets a little bit nervous and awkward and starts explaining like, oh, no, it's been spoiled and all that. But that's been going viral, and everyone is talking about it and saying it's very typical that this guy is a communist and also a Muslim, of course, and he treats dogs this way. Like a control freak.
He probably thinks he's super nice. He's like, what? I mean, it could be worse. I could have just killed the dog like I'm supposed to, but I didn't do that. And I didn't even do what we would normally do, namely shock my dog's balls. I just put a collar on him, just a shock collar. This is like as nice as I can possibly be. Why would anyone complain about me torturing my dog with these shocks? Wild stuff.
Freaking Turks.
Turks are the worst. Hey, D. Wood, I feel like you should go after Mormonism, too. It's basically Islam 2.0, and there's a lot of content to make with that. No. Why? I still do not understand. You've got people who deal with Mormonism. I'm dealing with Islam. There's not enough people dealing with Islam. You're saying, David, divert some of your attention to go after this ideology with several million adherents and divert that attention away from the one with 2 billion that's on the verge of taking over major European cities. How about no? How about no?
How about no?
But there's a lot of content. There's a lot of content about everything. My point is he claims that's why. Oh, talking about Tucker. Yeah, Tucker says that. I just care about the Christians. From the biscuit to the tea, Britain will be free. Not with the current leaders you got. David, I heard Taylor Swift wrote the A song about you. I don't know which song. Taylor Swift. Really? The Zut broke many peace with Momo. Yep, they broke their peace deal. Have you ever considered the Islamic dilemma that it considers Sabians, a strain of Gnostics that reject JC, called Mandians, true believers in Allah?
What is it? We just talked about this yesterday, didn't we?
Why is everyone asking about the Sabians all of a sudden? And what are you talking about? The Sabians did say, I don't know. We're not sure that there's actually the connection to other stuff, but the Sabians were saying that's where they took the Shahada from. The Sabians were saying there is no God but Allah. They were saying the Sabians, their slogan was La ilaha illallah. Muslims stole it, added Muhammad onto it. Let's see. The Al-Zut can bring peace. Look how peacefully Momo rested in the lap of his companion after that night. That was the most peaceful Muhammad ever was. So, yeah, that is the best path to peace. And we came up with that. If your eyes are leather straps, they can protect you from the Al-Zut. Oh,
Really?
Can they protect you from the Al-Zut? Maybe.
Yes.
That's why it happened in the dark. Long-lasting peace was only achieved by Momo and the Al-Zut. It was the last time there was lasting peace. New Islamic dilemma. Ready? Al-Zut. Ha, got ya. New Islamic dilemma. Ready? Al-Zut. No one expects the Al-Zut. So there was behind the Diddy line, wieners all around. Yes, that's correct. And worst part about him abusing the dog is I had to see a Hassan Nabi clip. Yeah, that's... And I'm not even going to see that because I'm not even going to watch it. All right, AP, you ready to check out this video?
Yeah.
We got a Cameron Bertuzzi, everyone.
Bertuzzi.
He liked a veal scallopini and a Jeremy Alfredo. And wash it down with a bottle of Filicino in 1961. Mwah! So Cameron's got his video on the Islamic dilemma, the earliest version. So guys, there's tons of videos already on the Islamic dilemma. Lots of people been making videos about it this year. Lots of Muslims been responding. Cameron's going to point out that Christians have actually known about this for a long, long time. So here we go. Spaghetti sauce and the meatballs and the Cameron Bertuzzi and the Islamic dilemma. Here we go.
A lot of people are under the misimpression that the Islamic dilemma is some like clever modern argument cooked up by Christian apologists on YouTube or in recent debates.
Where's his accent?
What if I told you we have new evidence of a Syriac Christian in the 700s, barely?
Misimpression. I just checked it out. Misimpression is a word.
Nice.
I've just never heard anyone actually use it in a video.
See? You were going like, oh, he doesn't even speak English properly.
Yeah.
But it's
look at this Italian. He can't even speak. Apparently he's been going to speech lessons to help him mask his thick Italian accent.
Oh, well, that makes sense. That explains it.
All right.
A lot of people are under the misimpression that the Islamic dilemma is some like clever modern argument cooked up by Christian apologists on YouTube. Or
Notice he's always got to talk about cooking, right?
Yeah.
It's some What's funny is he has to edit it down because he would be like, hey, a lot of people think of the Islamic dilemma is cooked up like a Mamma Mia. She cooking the pasta, and they think they cooking it up like that, but that's not the truth. Anyway. It's me, Cameron.
in recent debates, what if I told you we have new evidence of a Syriac Christian in the 700s, barely a century after Muhammad? He was already making this exact same argument. That's right, we've uncovered a manuscript where George of Beltan, a patriarch writing in the 8th century, lays out a response to Islam so sharp, so devastating, that honestly, it makes us look like amateurs.
You don't need to exaggerate, Cameron.
He said it makes us look like. You can't speak English.
His real name's Cameroni.
Cameroni.
Cameroni Bertuzzi. He goes by Cameron. Yeah, you don't need to exaggerate and just say this guy made the greatest argument of all time. It makes us all look like complete idiots by comparison.
Imbeciles! Nobody can ever make a better argument.
Than this guy. And look at me. Look at him. Hey, look at me. I tried out to go on the Jersey Shore, but they said I was too Italian, so now I do a YouTube.
And I'm not exaggerating here. Beltan might have been a better apologist than we are today. In this,
I challenge Beltan to an Islamic dilemma off, and we'll see who wins that one.
video, we're going to dive deep into this forgotten
Not in the
text
Zut sense.
that was actually just recently translated for the first time. See how he dismantled the Muslim claim of tarif, or corruption of the scriptures, and show how he basically invented the Islamic dilemma before it ever had a name. Now,
Liar. Allah
Look at
invented
that.
the Islamic dilemma. What?
Oh, well, okay. Well, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Allah invented the Islamic dilemma. He made sure it was there, waiting to be discovered by Christians so that we could use it to destroy his religion.
Stick around, because by the end of this video, you're going to see how George absolutely dismantles Islam's claims to truth before it even got off the ground, guys. And trust me, once you see how good his case is, you're never going to look at the Islamic dilemma the same way again.
You're kind of building it up too much, man. It's like, this is you may have got this from Trump, but everlasting. It's the everlasting argument. That's why it's still here. From the 8th century till now. It's everlasting like peace.
But first, let's set the stage here, okay? The Islamic dilemma, it might sound fancy, but it's actually really simple. All right, the Quran repeatedly points Muslims back to the scriptures that came before it, the Torah and the Gospel. You see this in places like Surah 5:43-48 and Surah 10:94 and other verses. But here's the problem, okay? Those previous scriptures, very obviously, flat out contradict the Quran. And there are only really two options, and neither of them work, all right? Horn number one. If the scriptures before Muhammad were reliable, as the Quran itself implies, then Islam collapses because those same scriptures contradict Islamic teaching on almost every core issue. The Old Testament prophets, the Trinity, the crucifixion, the deity of Christ, you name it, it contradicts it. Horn number two, if those scriptures were unreliable, if they'd been corrupt or lost, then the Quran undercuts itself. Why? Well, because it tells Muslims, and even Muhammad himself in Surah 10:94, to consult the Jews and the Christians that were reading the previous scriptures. That makes absolutely zero sense if the scriptures were already unreliable. So either way, the Quran is stuck on the horns of a dilemma. If it affirms the Bible, Islam is false. But if it rejects the Bible, Islam is actually incoherent. That's the power of this argument. It's not some little gotcha trick. It's actually showing that Islam, by its own standard, defeats itself.
We do need to make some sort of dilemma.
Hey, when did Cameron become such a good speaker, man? This was pretty good.
What? Oh, he's copying me. And again, he's been going to the speech coach, man, speech coach. A lot of people, you know, they have their crazy accents. They go to a speech coach. Hold up. Oh, that's funny.
Hold.
Huh. Okay. We'll get down to that in a second. All right.
Muslim apologist friends will tell us that this is a clever new apologetic trick that we cooked up in recent debates, right? It's not something that goes back to the early Christian history, the Christians that were engaging with Islam. But George of Beltan, writing just a century after Muhammad, was already seeing this exact tension. And that's what makes his work actually really explosive. To appreciate how explosive George of Beltan's argument is.
What are you grinning at, AP?
Nothing.
Okay, that's what I thought. Keep your grinning to yourself. Nothing to grin about.
You need to understand when and where he was writing. We're not talking about some medieval monk tucked away in the 1200s. George lived in the 8th century, barely 100 years after Muhammad. That means he wasn't working with centuries of hindsight. He was looking Islam straight in the face.
When he says hindsight, I know what some of you creepy people are thinking. You're thinking, oh, no, not hindsight in the Zut sense. Keep that stuff to yourselves, guys. Keep those weird thoughts to yourselves. The world does not need to know about them. What? And then you're sitting there right in your face, and you're thinking, oh, but not in the Zut sense. Okay, guys, we get it. You can turn anything into a Zut joke. You don't need... You can keep that stuff to yourself, guys. All right.
Yeah.
It was still in its early rise. George was the West Syriac Patriarch from 758 to 789, which makes him one of the highest ranking Christian leaders in the Middle East. And his life was anything but calm. He was actually imprisoned in Baghdad by the Caliph for 9 years on charges of tax fraud and refusing to honor Muhammad's name. When he was finally released, he didn't retire quietly. He went straight back to defending the faith. Now, here's why his story matters. Okay, Syriac Christians like George were on the front lines. They were the ones who first had to wrestle with Islam's claims. They heard Muslim accusations about the Bible being corrupted, what's called tarif, not as abstract theories, but as live, pressing challenges threatening their communities. So when George sat down to write his commentary on the Gospel of Matthew, that's our focus today, tucked inside is this little chapter where he fires back at Islam. And it's
You know who didn't fire back? Sorry. What's wrong with you, man?
that chapter where we find the earliest fully developed response to Tarif. What's more, the way he responds isn't just some generic defense of scripture. It's the skeleton of the very argument we now call the Islamic dilemma. This is what makes George's voice so uniquely powerful. He wasn't, a YouTuber in modern day times trying to get clicks. He was a pastor, a patriarch, and honestly a prisoner for Christ, fighting to preserve the truth of the gospel in the very century after Islam's birth. Before we jump into the actual manuscript of George.
What's that?
He didn't have a YouTube channel, so I don't care.
Yeah, why do we care about this dude? I mean, how many followers did he have on YouTube?
0.
How about on X?
0.
Facebook?
0.
Instagram?
0.
Rumble?
0.
TikTok?
0.
We're supposed to pay attention to this guy, and Cameron's actually comparing this guy to us. Weird stuff. Italians are weird, man. All right.
Argument, I want to pause for just a second. If you believe that this kind of work that I'm doing here matters, taking esoteric scholarship and turning it into accessible apologetics, then consider supporting me on Patreon. It's linked right in the description for you guys. Your support literally makes it possible for me to do this deep research, to translate jargony material into plain English, and get discoveries like this out to the wider church. I can only do...
Oh, it's got to be the white church. You hear that? He said the whiter church. Hang on.
Not for black people, only white.
For me to do this.
Italians were kind of off-white, but we still count as white.
Deep research to translate jargony material into plain English and get discoveries like this out to the wider church.
See, only the white church, only the whiter and whitest church. Bad, man. Bad.
What is this, man? What
Italians are Italians as racist as Turks, man?
Yeah, so apparently.
This is messed up. Hey, Cameron, for your fundraising stuff, you know how people have that Buy Me a Coffee? They use that Buy Me a Coffee site. Yours should be Buy Me a Pizza. And you have a little Mario there, and he's going, buy me a pizza. And people would be like, oh, we have to buy him the pizza.
Well, I could just pick up a cappuccino, to be fair.
Just so you know, Cameron, we're giving you awesome ideas right now. Awesome fundraising ideas.
Buy me a cappuccino.
Buy me a cappuccino and a pizza. Hey, you should just have all your donate buttons. It's like, buy me a cappuccino. Buy me an espresso. Buy me a pizza. Buy me spaghetti and meatballs. And just keep going like that. And then people can donate in whichever form they want.
Yeah.
What I do with your help. Okay, now let's get to the fun part. Here's the actual discovery, and trust me, it's definitely worth the wait. So first, where did scholars actually find...
Definitely worth the wait. All you've told us for the past 5 minutes is how great this argument is. We'd kind of like to see the actual argument, Cameroni.
George's proto-Islamic dilemma. Well, it wasn't in some standalone book against Islam. George didn't sit down to write an anti-Muslim treatise. Instead, it's tucked away right inside his commentary on the Gospel of Matthew, specifically in the introduction of chapter 49. And that detail is actually crucial. George wasn't out to score debate points. He was trying to establish the reliability.
Hold up. Chapter 49 of his introduction? Introduction, chapter 49. This is the most exhaustive commentary on the Gospel of Matthew ever. Chapter 49 of the introduction is awesome. Get to the Islamic dilemma in chapter 49 of his introduction.
Of the gospel for his Christian readers. He's explaining why they can trust the scriptures even when Muslims accuse them of corruption. That's the sort of pastoral heart of this whole thing, defending the truth of the gospel at a time when his people were under enormous pressure to abandon.
What?
This is a very solid argument. Anyway, let's take a few super chats. Just kidding.
No, I want to see, and Cameron, I get it, man. You're saying this guy had chapter 49 of his introduction to the Gospel of Matthew. So I see what you're doing. You're like, oh, I'll talk for 49 minutes introducing the argument that I never get to. And then when I get to the end of the video, it'll be, okay, well, that's the introduction. Now, if you really want the argument, go on to my next video. That's what you're doing here. Not falling for this, man.
No, go on my Patreon where you can find the argument.
Yeah,
presented.
you find my exclusive video only on Patreon. We should make a video like that, man. Be like, hey, and this is the awesomest argument ever. I mean, this is the decisive argument of all time. And to get it, click on Patreon. And
the only surviving copy of this commentary is Vatican Syriac 154. It's a battered manuscript copied partly on parchment,
but not battered in the Zut sense.
From the 8th to 10th centuries and partly on paper from the 13th. You can actually access it directly on the Vatican website. You guys can see it on the screen here.
But not the way Muhammad was accessed.
It's sort of incomplete.
You could take any sentence and turn it into a Zut joke, man. It's weird.
Damaged and scattered, but thankfully...
Damaged and scattered. What's wrong with you? I'm trying to focus on an argument, guys. Come on, everyone. And you guys stop encouraging this stuff. Stop encouraging people like... Yeah, stop encouraging people like Cameron to... Like, I feel like every person who makes videos now is like, oh, how can I make this so that when David and AP review it, it's just going to lead to a bunch of Zoot jokes. Stop it, guys.
This is incredibly childish, Cameron. What the hell?
It's extremely childish, Cameron. This terrible behavior. Liked you better when you were more serious with the accent.
Enough of it survived for our purposes today. For centuries, this text sat sort of unnoticed in the Vatican Library until modern scholarship finally brought it to light. Bert Jacobs recently published the Editio Precepts of Chapter 49, giving us our first full translation of George's words. I've got his paper linked in the description if you guys want to go check it out. But now what George argues there is...
no one who's watching a YouTube video is going to read something. Just wanted that to be clear.
Actually extraordinary. This chapter is titled Against the Pagans Concerning the Truth of the Gospel. But make no mistake, the pagans in view are Muslims. George never names Muhammad or the Quran directly. Early apologists often avoided that for safety reasons, but he does make it pretty obvious. He talks about the time before the coming of their prophet and even quotes or paraphrases the Quran. The issue.
I just want to ask Cameron one question here. Do the pagans believe in the same God that we believe in?
Of course they do. Of course they do. Oh, busted, Cameron! You're busted by your own guy you're quoting. You're like, this guy speaks decisively. I say that the Muslims are pagans and do not worship our God. Busted, Cameron.
Addressing is the accusation of Tarif, a Muslim doctrine that Christians sort of corrupted their Bibles. Faced with claims that the Quran is false because it contradicts the Jewish and Christian scriptures, later Muslim commentators argued that the Christians had corrupted their scriptures and included false material. By George's day, this accusation was already circulating, and Christians in the area had to respond to it. Before I break down George's arguments, I'm going to put up on the screen the full English translation of George's commentary so that you guys can read it for yourself. Feel free to pause the video and read through his comments. It's not very long.
Yeah, we're going to pause the video to read.
As I mentioned, you can just click the link in the description to the full paper. All right, here we go.
George
opens with...
I wonder if he does this on TikTok too. On TikTok, let me pause this. Let me put this on screen so you can pause it here on TikTok while you're scrolling, while you're doom scrolling video after video, so you can read the whole thing for yourself.
Yeah, I'll just have my 50-second TikTok video, but I'll put a bunch of screenshots from a bunch of nerd papers, and you guys can just pause and read everything instead of just reading a book or something like that. Guys, if you're on TikTok, you're not interested in reading. Anyway.
Brilliant rhetorical move. Pay attention here, okay? He says the way to answer the charge of corruption is to ask 4 questions. When, who, why, and what.
Why not
in
how?
other words,
why not how?
going to claim that the gospel was falsified or corrupted, tell us, when did this happen? Who carried it out? Why would they do it? And what exactly was changed?
And how could they have done it? How you leaving out how, man? Hey guys, by the way, this is actually important, and he's pointing out that this goes back, way back to the 8th century, where Muslims start saying, "Oh, your book's been corrupted. Your book's been corrupted because it doesn't match up with ours, and our book affirms your book, but yours doesn't line up, and therefore, instead of saying, okay, well, our prophet didn't know what he's talking about, we'll say your book has been changed." When they started saying that, the obvious questions to arise, and these would still be very, very important questions. When was it changed? Who changed it? Why did they change it? And what was changed, right? Your average Muslim friends who just say, oh, your Bible's been corrupted. They haven't thought through this even slightly.
Yeah.
Changed. It's super simple, but it's also really devastating to this doctrine, and it anticipates the entire later history of Christian responses to Tarif. Let's break this down because this is all very relevant for us today. Okay, first, George presses the when question of timing. If the gospel was corrupted before Muhammad, then, he points out, why would Surah 1094 instruct Muhammad to ask the Jews and Christians about it? Here's exactly what he says. So at which time, I ask again, who, why, and which words? If they should say that it happened before the coming of their prophet, see, he said that it was spoken to him that he should come to those who hold the scriptures to find the truth. For he said, quote, "O those who hold the scriptures, confirm the things which we have brought to you in words, and
That would have to be some sort of paraphrase, because I can't think of that exact verse. Oh, those who hold the scriptures, confirm the things which we have brought to you in words.
I wonder what the original text says.
Well, so this would be Syriac, written in Syriac. So he's probably like hearing or reading in another language or something like that. So some things are going to be lost in translation, and that's where you're not going to get the exact. So anyway, the point is there are lots of Quran verses that talk about the Quran affirming our scriptures and so on. I can't think of a verse that matches that as far as. Like I can see right after that, that is clearly a reference to 1094. I'm not sure what the one before that is a reference to.
if you are doubtful, ask those who have been holding the scriptures before you. See, he sends you to us. Mm-hmm. He's quoting Surah 1094. George knew, even in the 700s, that the Quran itself, in Surah 1094, assumes the reliability of earlier scriptures. But if, on the other hand, the corruption supposedly happened after Muhammad, George says that's actually impossible. Why? Because the gospel was already spread across the world in different languages. He puts it really bluntly, and these are his own words. And after his coming, there is no proof whatsoever of a synod of all nations in which Greeks, Arabs, Persians, barbarians, and Syrians were gathered, during which they determined which words they would omit and which words they would add. This is because the gospel is the same to all of them.
This is true. This is what we bring up all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And everyone understand those two possibilities here. It's kind of a separate little dilemma there, but that's what starts when you say, okay, when was it corrupted? And the obvious two main possibilities there are before Muhammad or after Muhammad, right? Been corrupted? Okay, when? Before Muhammad or after Muhammad? And you just saw the problem either way. These are two more horns of another dilemma. If you say the gospel was corrupted before the time of Muhammad, okay, well then why does the Quran say all these positive things about the gospel, right? Why does it say, go to the people of the book, Muhammad, if you're in doubt? Why does it tell? You could expand upon that. You could say, Why does the Quran say that Jews and Christians are still reading the Torah and the Gospel? Why did Muhammad say that Christians still have the Gospel? Why does the Quran say that Christians have to judge by the Gospel? Why does the Quran say, "O people of the book, you have no ground to stand upon unless you stand fast by the Torah, the Gospel, and all the revelation that has come to you from your Lord"? Why does it say all these things if the Gospel had already been corrupted? So, if the Gospel had already been corrupted, Quran's got big problems for affirming it and never saying one word about its corruption. On the other hand, if you're saying that the gospel was corrupted after the time of Muhammad, that makes no sense because you have the gospel spread all over the place and in a bunch of different languages already. Who could possibly have the power to corrupt it in all these different places after the time of Muhammad? If you wanted to say the gospel has been corrupted, you got to say it was corrupted really early on. You can't say it's corrupted in later centuries and stuff when it's all over the planet, and then you have manuscripts from before that time. And so, good point right here. Say when, ask when.
Yep.
They got to say before Muhammad or after Muhammad. Either way, they got problems.
Next, he pushes the what and why question of motive. Suppose the Christians sort of changed certain parts of the Bible. Why would Christians falsify their own scriptures?
Because they're evil.
George points out it's not for the money, since the gospel still commands poverty, not for spiritual advantage, since, quote, spiritual gain cannot be attained by consciously spreading false ideas about God. He even turns this into a subtle jab at Islam, hinting that they're the ones who used material gain to attract followers.
Oh, that's a good point. So here it's on the why. It's on the why issue. Like, why would you corrupt it? What's the point? If you're corrupting it deliberately, you got to be doing it for a reason, right? Like, what's your goal? Is it to make money? Well, that doesn't fit. That doesn't make any sense. Is it for spiritual development? That doesn't make any sense. And so Cameron points out, he actually flips it. It's like, you're the guys who are doing all this stuff for money and war booty, aren't you? So if anyone's going to change your stuff, that would be you, right?
Yep. Then, in addressing the who question, George brilliantly appeals to the Quran's own teaching about the apostles of Jesus. It couldn't have been them, since the Quran itself in various places calls them divinely chosen and faithful. If that's the case.
Yep. Can't call that. And
guys, that's what I like to bring.
Yeah, guys, notice I pointed out you can't say, if you want to say the gospel is corrupted and be at all coherent, you have to say it was early on. You can't say it's after you had manuscripts all over the place on multiple continents and so on. Guess what? It spread very quickly back in the day. So very rapidly it was transmitted to a lot of places. There were lots of copies made, lots of translations were made, which means if you want to say it was corrupted, you have to say early on. What's the problem there? Well, the Quran affirms the apostles. The Quran affirms the apostles. These are good guys. These are devout Muslims. So are they the ones corrupting it? There's no way out of the Islamic dilemma, ladies and gentlemen. There's a bunch of different things Muslims can try. None of them work.
George asks, how could they possibly have transmitted corrupted accounts from their master? This is a proto-dilemma move, using Islam's own scripture to shore up the authority of the gospel. So again, George's words and advice are still relevant for us today. The next time a Muslim tells you that the Bible has been corrupted, follow George's examples and ask 4 questions. When? Who? Why?
When?
And who? What?
Why?
Nope.
But in his
also say how. How'd they corrupt it? When it's all over the planet, when you got gospels all over the place, how'd they do it? How? Oh, George didn't he didn't say how, so we can't say how. No, we can't. We are not glued to this dude.
So when, why, where, what, and how.
Take a couple super chats. We'll continue. Good. So there I was behind the Diddy line. Wieners all around. Yep. It's Muhammad's story. Worst part about him abusing the dog is I already read these. How dare you guys talk about Hassanabi? How do you pronounce that name? Hassanabi?
Yeah, that's not a name.
40+ Americans offed October 7th. No available total of Christians, but were multiple Israeli Christian and Filipino Christian victims. Silence from Cucker. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of the many reasons I do not believe that guy. How did you guys get Mario to do Christian apologetic? Well, I grew up playing Super Mario Brothers, and then we found him. We said, hey, you're just a plumber, man, but you should do YouTube. And he said, but how can I do it? And we said, we'll help you. Islam is not peaceful. Who says? Some Islamophobic stuff.
Bad person.
A camera number 2. The end. Bibbidi-bobbidi. I couldn't find your email on your YouTube. How's that my problem? I couldn't find your email on. Okay. You go over to YouTube. You go to my home. You go to my home page. I'll do it right now. Go to my home page. And then it says, Apologetics Roadshow, more about this channel. And then it has links. You click on links and it says links, and it has Patreon, X, and so on. Then it says more info, and there's a thing there. It says view email address, and you click on that, and that allows you to view my email address. I have to say, I'm starting to understand why I blocked you. If you're like asking me something, you're like, oh, how do you do it? And I'm like, oh, just do this. Oh, I can't figure it out. Okay, block. No, you should be able to find it though. If it's not working for some reason, try a different browser. Try a different browser. I couldn't find your email on YouTube page. I'd like to talk to you about going to Dearborn. If I figure out your email, I'll send it with the subject line, looking for a good zoot.
You already read this, man. What's wrong with you?
I just read it now. Yeah, we'll have to figure it out because up there it gets super freezing cold in the winter. So any of our friends who are from warm areas like God Logic and so on, they either have to decide to go quickly if we want to take a trip up there before winter sets in, or it'll have to be after, like in spring or something like that. I'm fine either way. I'm ready to go 24/7.
Let's go this weekend. Let's go.
All I hear Cam saying is, if the pasta is so good, the Islam is false. If the pasta is bad, the Islam is false. That's his Italian Islamic dilemma. If the pasta is good, and the Islam is false. Nice. Classic Cameroni. Secular case 1. Our aid equals discounts on F-35s and weapons. Secular case 1. Our aid equals discounts on F-35s and weapons. Secular case 2. Saudis, Emirates, Bahrain, Jordan, Egypt, Oman, Kuwait, Qatar, Turkey work with Israel to protect the oil pipes and Suez. Cost of losing this or protecting this ourselves far exceeds the aid cost. Is this correct, AP? As far as us giving discount weapons to Israel, the things that they are protecting actually outweighs the costs. Do you agree or not?
Yeah.
All right.
Yes. I thought this was a super sticker at first.
You're going to need to translate, I don't speak a spaghetti. Cameron, we don't speak a spaghetti. Mo's favorite song would be Rump Shaker, Rex and Effect. All I want to do is zoot a zoot 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 and a boom boom. That's true. All I want to do is zoot a zoot zoot zoot. Ultimate Dilemma was always speech by Mo. If New Testament real, prophet, Allah will rip my arteries. Jesus went to Jannah, Mo murdered by Jew, cries feel artery ripped open. Yeah, you know what sucks? I haven't seen it yet, but I saw Jai and DOC. Jai and DOC were talking about Ali Dawa. I haven't watched the Ali Dawa video, but Ali Dawa was talking trash about Jordan Peterson, saying Jordan Peterson's hospitalized and he's all messed up. Why? Because he said, give him hell after October 7th attacks. So Ali Dawah always knows
course.
instantly why Allah is punishing people.
Of
So
course.
I saw that and I was just like, I didn't want to do it. But if you're saying, oh, look at this guy, he's suffering, therefore he's being punished, that's really, really easy to do with Muhammad. I mean, really, really, really easy. So I might have to make something about the sufferings of Jordan Peterson and of Muhammad.
You know what's funny? Ijaz, he has some condition. I'm not sure what he has exactly. I never bothered enough to figure it out. But he has some condition that he complains about all the time, and that he tries to get help for. Ijaz Ahmed, and always complains that he's in severe pain and unbearable and things like that, and has been hospitalized again and so on. And the thing is, when these guys bring such things to our attention, all I think is, your guy, Ijaz Ahmed, I bet he's suffering because he does Muslim apologetics.
And you've got, what's that guy, Jake? What's Jake got now?
Oh, he has MS, I believe, multiple sclerosis.
Yeah.
Which is pretty nasty.
Yeah, and guys, my view is we live in a fallen world. Bad things can happen to anyone.
Everybody.
In fact, it would be extremely weird for God to say, "Oh, but anyone in this group is exempt from bad things happening." That would be kind of disastrous theologically. Because think, if God said, "Okay, if you're in this group, no bad things are going to happen to you. You're not going to get sick or anything else." Well, why would people join that group? Just to avoid, not to honor God or because they seriously care. It would just be, oh, this is where you go and no bad things happen to you, and that would be what they would care about. That would be really weird. He goes to the church of red roofs and red table. That's what he does. Zut Wars, the last man riding. What are you laughing at that? Fontaine now needs to account for both the real Torah and the real Injil vanishing within decades, but the fake ones lasting for millennia. Yeah, it's weird.
Hey, Fountain.
John Fontaine. You should fly out young Bob for the Fuentes. Oh, that would be funny. You should fly out young Bob for the Fuentes Boom Boom Room episode, since Fuentes looks and sounds like a perpetual 16-year-old. That would be funny if we had young Bob playing Nick Fuentes. I wonder if he's good at voices and stuff. I got an Islamic dilemma for you. Jihadis, we are strong and we broke out of Israeli concentration camp and showed them later we're poor refugees. And we didn't hurt anyone. It was Israel themselves. Yeah, that's true. Candace Owens, if she hated Muslims just as much as she hates Jews. Pizza's Italian. Cameron's Italian. Benito Mussolini was Italian. Wait, Mussolini Muslim? You see, Cameron is a secret Muslim. And the only thing you're missing is she had a dream that confirmed it all. A dream that Mario appeared to me and said all this. D. Wood, admit it that Mike Winger is a greater person than Hassan Abi. I will admit no such thing. What Hassan Piker does to animals is disgusting, but no surprise since he is a devout communist.
Yeah.
Oh, communist Muslim.
I would have to say it really is no surprise, and the way Hassan Piker treats his dog is the way communists treat an entire population once they take power. So That's how it is.
Is he one of those rich communists?
Yes, spoiled communists.
Ibn al-Khatib was a physician who was lynched for proving that the Black Death is contagious because Muhammad said there is no contagious disease. Is that true? I mean, Muhammad did say there's no such thing as contagious disease, but did the dude actually get in trouble for showing that it's contagious? I'll look that up. I don't know if that's true. So again, I know it's true that Muhammad said there's no such thing as a contagious disease, but AP and D Wood ran so that Korean Scotsmen could fly. That's true. That's what we do. We've already had the zut on one news channel. Now we need to get it on every news channel. I want to, dude. Hey, AP. Look, man, we need to do something. What?
Oh, hang on a second. You actually caused the Zut to be mentioned on a mainstream
I know,
news channel.
I know.
Sky.
I know that's funny. But yeah, I was saying, yo, we need to do something. We need to do something crazy and newsworthy just so we can get on the news for something, and then bring up the Zut, right? Like anything, like we'll start a huge car accident. We don't hurt anyone, so we'll like just crash our cars into each other, and we'll take like safety precautions and stuff. We'll crash our cars into each other. We'll make sure like they blow up and stuff. And then when the news crews come in, we'll be like, oh yeah, well yeah, I wasn't paying attention because I was thinking about the story of Muhammad and al-Zut, and then
we were just talking about the al-Zut on the phone, and then we crashed into each other.
Crashed right into each other, and so. Yep, I slammed right into him, not in the Zut sense, but you know what we're talking about. And then the serpent, did God say not to eat the fruit of the tree? Just asking questions. Yeah, that's funny. Just asking questions. Muhammad's favorite goth band, 9 Inch Zuts. What's wrong with you? It's official. Y'all heard it here, folks. Abe Lincoln will make AP the new pope. You heard it here, everyone.
Yes.
Now we know.
That's what he told me.
Now we know. All right. Let's let Cameron.
And if you don't know, now you know.
Let's let Cameron get a little deeper into this argument. Not in the Zut sense. Here we go.
Commentary, George doesn't stop there. After dismantling the corruption charge with his famous when, who, why, what questions, he takes the debate one step further. He pivots to a positive case for gospel reliability. In other words, he doesn't just play defense. He builds a constructive argument for why the gospel must be true. And you guys really need to pay attention here, because this move that he makes here, this argument he builds out, is brilliant and arguably something that Christian apologists need to be doing a lot more of in the context of the Islamic dilemma. In his commentary,
I'm not taking advice on some guy who didn't even have a computer, let alone a YouTube channel. So
exactly.
Hey, everyone. You guys need to live without computers or like functioning toilets or anything. No.
George lays out 5 criteria that prove gospel reliability. First, the gospel's teaching is sound because it transcends earthly lusts. Second, its commandments heal the soul's infirmities. Third, it foretells future events with prophetic clarity. Fourth, it spread to all nations, not by political power, wealth, polished rhetoric, or manipulative tactics, but by a message so lofty it looked like folly to the world. And then fifth, it is confirmed by the testimony of the scriptures themselves. Just think about how clever this actually is. These criteria aren't arbitrary. He didn't just pick these out of the thin air, right? They actually make a lot of sense. A true revelation from God should actually elevate us above our base desires. It should bring healing. It should reveal what is to come, spread without worldly
Did he call our desires based?
Yeah. Our base desires.
Our base desires. My desires are based.
And harmonize with earlier revelation. George is doing in the 700s what most Christians today can't do: lay down a rational framework for why Christianity is true. And remarkably, his argument holds up pretty well. Scholars
What's that?
Why would I lay down an irrational framework?
call this the true religion apology. And in George's hands, it's one of the earliest examples that we actually have. So here's the big picture. Okay, George of Beltan dismantled the charge of Tarif through asking his 4 questions and citing the Quran itself to answer them. Then he went further. He made a positive case for gospel reliability. Here's the crucial point. Pay attention to this. Once you grant the gospel's reliability, the Islamic dilemma writes itself. If the gospels are reliable, Islam is false because the Quran contradicts the gospels. If the gospels are unreliable, Islam is false because the Quran itself implies that the gospels are reliable in Surah 1094. George nailed it 1,200 years ago from a prison cell in a commentary on Matthew, trying to strengthen the faith of his people. He handed us one of the earliest versions of the Islamic dilemma. Why does all of this matter? You might be thinking, like, why should we care what a Syriac patriarch in the late 700s, why should we care that he was already making this argument? Well,
because we can get clicks and views from it.
And especially since he didn't have a YouTube channel either.
Yep. I have to say, though, I am a fan of taking stuff that's basically completely irrelevant because it happened like centuries before we were born, and then putting it on YouTube so it becomes useful. Even though basically what Cameron is saying is, hey, David Wood obviously has an infinitely more sophisticated defense of the Islamic dilemma. This guy's argument's just based on 1094, one of dozens and dozens of verses that I would use in my significantly more powerful version.
And that's what he basically just said, isn't it?
Yeah.
Here's why. It shows us that the doctrine of Tarif, the idea that the Jews and Christians corrupted their scriptures, didn't appear in a vacuum. It was a reaction. Muslims were confronted with the uncomfortable fact that the Quran flatly contradicted the Bible. And then, when Christians pointed that out, Muslims needed some sort of escape hatch. They needed to respond to it, and that's where Tarif came in.
Actually, it's interesting that people were catching on to this for a long time. This will be an ongoing project, but in the future, we're going to have to get some serious nerds here because there's no way I'm doing it, like 0% chance. We're going to have to get some serious nerd researchers to actually go through every Christian who's ever been commenting on Islam and so on, who brought up anything about what the Quran says about the Torah and the gospel, and put it all together and combine that with what Muslim scholars have said over the centuries, because a lot of the Muslims accidentally confirmed the Islamic dilemma. Would be good stuff.
George of Beltan, again, just 100 years after Muhammad, showed Christians exactly how to respond. Not just by saying, nuh-uh, we didn't corrupt our scriptures, but by flipping the charge back on Islam itself. This discovery also blows up a very common objection we're hearing today, that the Islamic dilemma is just a cheap apologetic trick cooked up by Western apologists on YouTube. No, that's not the case at all. The evidence actually shows that Christians in the 8th century were already spotting this very same problem. And they didn't just spot it, they built apologetic defenses for their people around it.
Yeah, I have to say, everyone, this is kind of an important point. See, none of us got the Islamic dilemma from, like, early Christians. You had a couple of stages in the past couple decades. So even in like the 90s and before that, 80s and 90s, and I'm sure before that, but that's I've got the stuff that was out in the 80s and 90s. You had Christians using they hadn't weaponized it. They weren't using it as a dilemma to say that Islam is false either way. They were using it to point out that Muslims shouldn't be attacking the Bible the way they do, right? So it's, you had Ahmed Deedat and all these guys attacking the Bible, Zakir Naik eventually, and so on. And you had some Christians are pointing out, hey, why are you attacking the Bible that your Quran affirms? You need to have a more favorable view of the Christian scriptures than you have, because your God and your prophet did. So you're actually going against your God and your prophet here. Then it became weaponized. It's, hey, this actually shows that Islam is false. And so you could say, well, where did people get this idea that the Quran affirms the Bible? You'll have Muslims who think this is something new. Cameron's right. You'll have Muslims thinking, oh, this is just something new these guys made up. Well, what if Christians have been noticing this for many, many centuries? Why would all these Christians who weren't copying each other, no one's copying this dude, they just found the document, right? So no one's copying it from this dude. How did multiple generations of Christians over the centuries see the exact same problem when they read the Quran? Maybe because there's a problem here. We're the Quran noticers. What?
Nothing.
We're noticing.
Also, it strengthens the credibility of the dilemma itself, because when an argument emerges naturally out of history, when it's not invented by a bunch of YouTubers, but discovered actually in the first encounters between Christians and Muslims, that's actually
What?
Look at that. He's attacking you, man. What is this?
Yeah. Hey, yeah, it'll be funny. And this isn't something that's invented by a bunch of dumb loser Christian apologists on YouTube. No.
Call it the Islamic dilemma.
defenses
Let's check
for
this
their
out.
people around it. And also, it strengthens the credibility of the dilemma itself, because when an argument emerges naturally out of history, when it's not invented by a bunch of YouTubers, but
Isn't that funny? When it emerges naturally out of history, it's not invented by a bunch of loser YouTubers, then you can actually take it seriously.
YouTubers who call themselves Apologetics Roadshow.
Cameron, you're a YouTuber, man. You shouldn't be dissing YouTube. That would be like him sitting here and not invented by some idiot Italians. Like, why would you be attacking yourself, man?
Hey, let's make a diss track as a response to this.
Yeah, we will.
discovered actually in the first encounters between Christians and Muslims, that's actually evidentially powerful. It shows us that this isn't us forcing something onto the Quran. It's
Definitely not in the Zut sense of forcing something on. Anyway.
actually us recognizing what Christians have always recognized. Islam is self-defeating on its own terms. Now, at this point, some people might object. They might say, well, hold on. George of Beltan wasn't actually making the Islamic dilemma. He was just arguing against corruption of the gospel. Now, I thought a lot about this objection, but here's the thing. He was doing a lot more than just that. Okay, after giving his positive criteria for gospel reliability.
What'd you say?
It doesn't matter why he was doing it and what he was doing. He quite nicely actually points out the dilemma here. You know?
He ends his chapter with this declaration, quote, "Therefore, every book in which all these things are collected is the perfect and complete truth." He's referring to the 5 criteria for gospel reliability. And everything that is lacking from them is either entirely false or imperfect. That's not merely like a, hey, guys, don't worry about this, our texts are fine statement. That's George going a lot further. He's affirming the gospel accounts as the full truth and drawing a line in the sand. If the gospels are true and Tarif is false, then the Quran, which...
Did he talk about drawing a line in the sand?
He literally just brought up the drawing a line in the sand. He's just doing it on purpose now.
Guys, come on.
Cameron, what is this?
You serious? Cameron, you've got a sick, evil, dirty mind. You try not to make it obvious, but you know when people watch your stuff, you know what people are going to be thinking, right? If like everything you're saying is, look, here's Cameron. And so this new argument is banging. This new argument makes you just want to proclaim it everywhere, you know, up on the mountains, out in the desert. And while you're in the desert with all that sand, you want to draw a line in the sand. And then you'll say, he didn't just cross that line, did he? Come on, that's what you sound like, Cameron.
Yeah.
Like every okay, here he goes again, guys.
Is the perfect and complete truth. He's referring to the 5 criteria for gospel reliability. And everything that is lacking from them is either entirely false or imperfect. That's not merely like a, hey, guys, don't worry about this, our texts are fine statement. That's George going a lot further. He's affirming the gospel accounts as the full truth and drawing a line in the sand.
Some would call it the Diddy line. Don't cross the line. Because George is saying, don't cross this line or you'll be destroyed. Terrible, 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 terrible. Creepy, creepy, weird sense of humor these Italians have.
Gospels are true and Tarif is false, then the Quran, which contradicts them, cannot stand. In other words, George supplies the bones of the...
Stop it.
I was that close, man. This almost went all over the screen. I had to pause. George draws a line in the sand and then provides the bones. I'm not trying to make Zoot jokes here. I'm Cameron. Come on. Come on, man. Okay, no interruption.
And everything that is lacking from them is either entirely false or imperfect. That's not merely like a, hey, guys, don't worry about this, our texts are fine statement. That's George going a lot further. He's affirming the gospel accounts as the full truth and drawing a line in the sand. If the gospels are true and Tarif is false, then the Quran, which contradicts them, cannot stand. In other words, George supplies the bones of the Islamic dilemma. The Quran appeals to the Gospels as authoritative, but their truth puts Islam on a collision course with itself. And also remember, we don't have
putting
all
into perspective. So Muhammad drew the line in the sand, and then the Zut provided the bones, and the next day Muhammad couldn't stand.
Yep. He couldn't stand, and that put Muhammad on a collision course. What?
I'm sorry. Let's continue.
I didn't say it. He said it. Look. Okay.
Nothing.
the Gospels are true and Tarif is false, then the Quran, which contradicts them, cannot stand. In other words, George supplies the bones of the Islamic dilemma. The Quran appeals to the Gospels as authoritative, but their truth puts Islam on a collision course with itself. And also remember, we don't have all of George's works. It's entirely possible that he made this conclusion explicit elsewhere in his other writings. But what
if Candace gets a dream, then we'll know it happened.
we do have is certainly enough. He already gave us everything we need to reach that conclusion.
Like the Zut
Another
gave
objection
Muhammad
goes,
everything he
well,
needed.
in Surah 1094, the previous scriptures in view are only the stories of the prophets. I actually
what it
made an
says.
entire video response to this objection, which I've got linked in the description. You guys can go watch it if you're interested. In short, this objection doesn't work because those stories of the prophets also contradict the Quran, so it doesn't help. Another common objection is, well, corruption solves the problem. The Bible was altered, but George dismantled that literally 12 centuries ago. Okay, if corruption happened before Muhammad, then, as George points out beautifully, and perfectly in line with the Islamic dilemma, Surah 1094 absolutely makes no sense if corruption happened before Muhammad. If corruption had happened after Muhammad, that's actually impossible because no universal synod of Greeks, Arabs, Persians, and Syrians ever got together to rewrite the gospel. As George puts it, since the rise of Islam, no synod has taken place in which the nations decided to alter the gospel because it is the same to all of them.
Hey guys, we've already mentioned this, but super important point that everyone needs to have ready, especially when Muslims are saying your Bible's been corrupted and you ask questions: who, what, when, where, how, why, how. How did it happen? On that how issue, unless you want to say the original Christians corrupted it, which, as we've said, you can't say as a Muslim because the original followers, the followers of Jesus, were devout Muslims according to Islam. And Allah is promising to protect them. So they're going to be doing a good job. After that time, the Bible spreads rapidly all over the place, and Christians didn't have some kingdom at this point where you have a ruler who can impose his will on Christians everywhere. You had Christians in Africa, you had Christians in Europe, you had Christians in the Middle East. You very quickly had Christians all the way over in India. Who is in a position, if you're not saying the originals were corrupted from the beginning, who is ever in a position to corrupt the gospel all the way from Europe into Africa, across the Middle East, all the way over into India? Who is there? Who had the kind of power that would be required to corrupt it everywhere? No one. No one ever had that kind of power or authority. You know who did have that kind of power and authority? Uthman. You have in Islam someone who had the ability to say, we're corrupting this now. We're changing it now. We're doing it now. But Muslims won't even be slightly suspicious of Uthman. If, however, within Christianity, we had some ruler who at some point said, you know what, everyone hand over your Bibles, and somehow had the ability to force Christians from across the world to all hand over their Bibles, and then he burned them all, and then he issues a standardized version. That would be Exhibit A every single time they say our book's been corrupted. It would be, look, a guy ordered you guys to hand over your stuff. He burnt it all, and then he issued his own version. That's obvious what's going on there. That's what they would say. But there's never been a Christian leader in that position. There was a Muslim leader in that position.
Us. The only possible alternative here is what I like to call the selective corruption hypothesis, or selective tarif, that just the wrong parts of the Bible were corrupted. The rest are reliable. That falls apart too, guys. Okay, I also addressed this claim in the previous video that I mentioned, linked in the description, but in short, this hypothesis doesn't work because, one, it's completely unevidenced. There's no historical proof that the Bible was selectively altered in just the right places that line up with the Quran. Two, it's completely unfalsifiable. Any verse that contradicts the Quran can just be waved away as corrupt. And then three, this is a circular argument. It assumes the Quran is accurate in order to defend the Quran. That's not an argument. That's a rational dead end. So the objections don't work. George's argument still stands, and in some ways he said it sharper than we do today. Now, we've covered a lot of ground.
Maybe we should interview that guy sometime.
Sharper than how we do it today? Dude wasn't even on YouTube, Cameron. How many live streams has this guy been in?
Zero.
How many live streams have D Wood and AP been in?
50,000.
Do the math. Who's going to have a better Islamic dilemma, Cameron? Do the math. Hey, no, you know what I like about Cameron is he's looking at the information of the Islamic dilemma, but he kind of like presents it in his own way versus like copying the way someone else, which, you know, I mean, it's good if someone has a solid argument. It's good to just keep running with that argument, but it's also good to see how we can formulate different versions of arguments and stuff like that. So anyway, good stuff.
So let me just boil all this down, right? Here's what you need to remember from this video. George of Beltan, writing in the 700s, just a century after Muhammad, was already dismantling the charge of Tarif, and in the process, sketching out the bones of what we now call the Islamic dilemma. In challenging Tarif, he asked absolutely killer questions that we still need to be asking today. When was the gospel corrupted? Who did it? Why would they do it? And what exactly was changed? No Muslim could answer them then, and no Muslim can answer them now.
That's also very important, guys. Cameron's pointing out, hey, we bring up the Islamic dilemma. This was understood by Christians centuries ago. Guess what? Just as they couldn't answer those questions back then, if you're going to ask, okay, who corrupted it? Why'd they corrupt it? Why would they change their scriptures? So how did all of this happen? So who, what, when, where, what? How did all of this happen? They can't answer it. Why? Because no answer they give will make sense in light of what the Quran says.
Yeah.
Just as Muslims couldn't answer that stuff back then, they can't answer it now. I mean, they'll say things, but nothing that actually makes sense. The Islamic dilemma is inescapable and inevitable.
He showed that corruption couldn't have happened before Muhammad because Surah 1094 assumes the scriptures are reliable. It couldn't have happened after Muhammad because no worldwide synod ever met to change the text. And the apostles themselves, according to the Quran, were divinely chosen. So how could they possibly have transmitted falsehood? That's the heart of George's case. Okay, if the Gospels are reliable, Islam collapses because it contradicts them. If the Gospels are unreliable, the Quran undercuts itself, as we see in Surah 1094. Either way, the Quran is checkmated by its own standard. And that's what makes this discovery so incredible. The Islamic dilemma isn't some like clever modern trick. Christians in the 700s already saw it, already argued it, and already used it to defend the gospel. So here's my challenge to you. Memorize Surah 1094. Learn George's simple...
Oh, he's giving advice.
That is a good little quick, easy task I like that he's not like piling on, like not in the Zoot sense, but like piling on a ton of tasks. It's okay. You heard this argument. Learn this verse, Surah 10, verse 94, which is directed towards Muhammad. But if you are in doubt as to what we have revealed to you, ask those who were reading the book before you. Certainly the truth has come to you from your Lord. Therefore, you should not be of the disputers. You'll have various interpretations of it. You have Muslims trying to, oh, but he didn't doubt. Oh, but it wasn't written towards him. It was written toward. None of that helps, guys. None of that helps, because the assumption is that if someone were to doubt the Quran, they could only verify that by going to the people of the book to confirm, which kind of makes it obvious that we have reliable scriptures. You wouldn't go to people who have a corrupt book and say, hey, what do you guys believe? Does it line up with this? It wouldn't work. So 1094, guys, you heard it from Cameron.
Or when, who, why, what questions, and use them. This discovery is so incredible. The Islamic dilemma isn't some like clever modern trick. Christians in the 700s already saw it, already argued it, and already used it to defend the gospel.
This is pretty good.
My challenge to you. Memorandum is checkmated by its own standard.
What's up? You interrupted him when it was the last couple seconds. What?
This is pretty good. I have to say this is the best Islamic dilemma video I've ever seen in my entire life.
Ha! Then you've never seen mine.
I mean, there are some people who try to overcomplicate it, you know, like David Wood, for example. But Cameron just goes right to the heart with it. It's perfect. It's also kind of funny that the entire point of his video is, hey, don't worry about David Wood's Islamic dilemma. This here is actually better.
Yeah, and then he has a 20-minute video where he says, hey, this guy said these two sentences, and so memorize 1094.
Solid.
Anything for high watch time for YouTube, Cameron?
And that's what makes this discovery so incredible. The Islamic dilemma isn't some like clever modern trick. Christians in the 700s already saw it, already argued it, and already used it to defend the gospel. So here's my challenge to you. Memorize Surah 1094. Learn George's simple for, when, who, why, what questions, and use them. This isn't just history. It's an argument Christians have been making for over 1,000 years, and it still stands today. If you want more groundbreaking discoveries like this, hit subscribe because we're literally just getting started. Oh, and by the way, Christianity is true.
Well, you want people to subscribe if YouTubers suck, as you keep insisting, and that we all need to just check out some document that's talked about in some nerd paper, and we're all supposed to just focus on that. Care to explain?
It's kind of funny how he has to come up with this final line, just like he's copying me now.
Yeah. Let's see this.
Oh, Apostate Prophet says stay away from Islam. What can I say? Oh, yeah. By the way, Christianity is true.
Apostate Prophet has to always say some cool thing at the end, so let me do that too.
How can I be just as cool as Apostate Prophet?
If I have some line right at the end of everything, will everyone think I'm as cool as the Apostate Prophet?
I don't think so, but I could try.
Maybe my fans are dumb enough to fall for it.
I have to say, very nice video, Cameron.
Yep, good video. I can see why it's blowing up. I can see why that video is blowing up. And that's good news, everyone. There's still lots to say about the Islamic dilemma, and Muslims will keep trying to come up with new responses, and they will keep failing. Okay, so this is the paper. This is the paper that Cameron linked to. Bert Jacobs. An early Syriac response to the charge. We're not going to read this entire thing. I just want to go to the relevant section because it's a long paper. We'll just read the abstract. An early Syriac response to the charge of tahrif in George Belton's commentary on the Gospel of Matthew. This contribution studies a hitherto unidentified Syriac response to the Muslim charge of biblical falsification, tahrif, This is seriously hilarious. I got to see what this actually is. There's no way. This doesn't make sense. Look, found in chapter. That's what I was thinking. Cameron must have misspoke. But look, you have it right here. Found in chapter 49 of the introduction to the commentary on the Gospel of Matthew by the West Syriac Patriarch George of Belta. There's no way I want to read a guy's commentary if, as of chapter 49, he's still on the intro. That's pretty crazy. Besides its early date and comprehensiveness, two elements render this brief text unique in Syriac literature. First, it contains among the earliest quotations of the Quran in Syriac, if not the very first. Second, it provides the earliest version of the so-called true religion apology, a discourse that soon thereafter becomes very popular in Arabic Christian apologetic texts, but is much less common in Syriac. Besides introducing this original response to Tahrif, this contribution provides an edition of the chapter with English translation. Interesting. So we'll see where it is. Introduction, blah, blah, blah. Oh, yeah, you're going to have a 49-chapter introduction here to your paper? That's what I would do. If I was talking about his 49-chapter introduction, I would definitely, if I was writing a paper, do that, because that's just hilarious. Okay, where's the real stuff, man? Where's the real stuff? Gosh, this just goes on and on, like George of Beltan's introduction to the Gospel of Matthew. Okay, charge of Tahrif, we get it. Oh, man, I think this is going on for a long time because I'm looking at the notes, and I think when I saw the notes on what Cameron was had on the screen, I think it was already like note 100 and something. I'm only on like note 50 right now. Okay. My goodness, man. What's he going through everything in the entire 49 chapters of the introduction? Okay. Getting closer. True religion apology. Hey, I'm like Cameron. Hey, I put it all up on the screen so you can just read it, everyone. Look, right there. You can read the entire article, no problem. Look, just pause it anywhere you want. You can read it. Or you can just click on it. Let's see. Are we here yet? Okay, here. Okay, this is what Cameron was citing. Against the pagans concerning the veracity of the gospel. Should be... Okay, so here's the questioning part. They say that many things... This is up in the right corner. They say that many things in the gospel have been changed by us. But these charges should be questioned as follows. When was it changed or being changed? Who are those who changed it? Why did they change it? And which words of it did they change? So we have when, who, why, and which. Get it right, Cameron. It's which. Let's see. Where's that quote? Okay, here we go. So at which time I ask again, who, why, and which words? If they should say that it happened before the coming of their prophet, see. He said that it was spoken to him that he should come to those who hold the scriptures to find the truth. For he said, O those who hold the scriptures, confirm the things which we have brought to you in words. Again, this is based on a translation. I'm not sure which verse that is supposed to be about. What's the reference? What was it? Was it 120? 120. Note 120. Or confirm in words the things which we have brought to you. There is no direct parallel in the Quran, although it has a distinct Quranic ring to it. Huh. That's interesting. Yeah, it does have a Quranic ring. And I can think of multiple verses that kind of give the gist of that meaning, but nothing that says specifically that. All right. Wanted to look that up. And so it says, for he said, O those who hold the scriptures, confirm the things which we have brought to you in words. And if you are doubtful, ask those who have been holding the scriptures before you. See, he sends you to us. Dude, that is the most badass line ever. Look at that.
Wow.
See, he sends you to
very
us. See, he sends you. That's the title. That's the title of a video right there. Allah sends you to us. Where are you going to go, guys? Allah sends you to us. You running around trying to figure things out? Guess what? Allah sends you to us. The only way to confirm your book is to come to us, and we'll tell you what in your book is correct. You come to us. Allah sends you to us.
You come to us, man. You come to us, boy.
Yeah. But you better be careful coming to us. Hey, when you come to us for help, show respect. Don't come running your mouths. You're supposed to come to us respectfully and ask us, please, sirs, can we have some confirmation of our book? And we'll say, there is no more confirmation of your book. That's it. All right, guys. Well, that's Cameron's video. Link is in the description box. That goes to his video. If you want that article, if you want to read it, if you're one of these nerds who reads a bunch of stuff, link to the article is under his video in the description box of his video. You've got the link to his video in the description under my, because I link to videos, because this is the 21st century, not the 8th century. So you can check those out. All right, let's take these remaining super chats.
We should see if we can interview that guy.
Does this Giorgio also like to talk about the Al-Zut? Hey, that would be funny if Cameron's next video is, and guess what? Georgia Beltan also talked about the Zut. And he said,
in fact,
well,
nothing.
I was going to say, and he said, how can you believe in this prophet who got zooted by the men of Al-Zut out in the desert?
They zoot me in the desert.
Apostate Pope and Bishop Wood, the original Bash Bros. That's what we are. That's what we do. Did you guys hear his real name was Kuthum al-Zut? Kuthum al-Zut. The dark Zut rises. What's with people talking about the Zut? We've gone this entire show trying to avoid any mention of al-Zut, and people keep just al-Zut, 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 Zut, Zut, al-Zut, and Zut, 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 Zut. I was wondering if you could pray for my friend. I don't want to lose them, and I've been in severe distress for 4 days, and I'm losing hope. So we don't know what that's about, ladies and gentlemen, if this is a spiritual issue or a friend who's sick or something like this, but Denny Berger has asked for prayers. Sheikh Cameron Ibn Bertuzzi trashing his God Allah. I think they referred to him as Alini. Zut Dead Redemption 2. What's with all the Zut stuff, man? People are weird. Who wrote this script, lol? Momo told Al-Zut, I'm the messenger of God. Al-Zut replied, cool, now bend over and deliver the message. What the heck? Oh, that's a joke. It says joke from Grok. What's wrong with you?
That's solid.
I want to know if that's actually from Grok, because I've asked Grok to make jokes, and they're like the corniest, like dumb dad jokes ever.
You have to train it to make proper jokes.
Okay, to train it like Muhammad was trained by Al-Zut. This mean Momo existed, and early Muslims believed in corruption of the Bible. This mean Momo existed, and early Muslims believed in the corruption of the Bible. I was one believer. Momo was a Christian, and Uthman corrupted it when he burned the original Quran. Yep. Sounds like you had people responding to Muhammad pretty early on. Oh, yep. Sounds like he existed. When? Who? Why? What? Guard yourself for Al-Zut. I love your guys' stuff. Thank you for your part in bringing me to Christ. That's what we're here for. We're here to help bring people to Christ and to make Zut jokes.
Yes.
What's funny is if the entire world converts to Christianity, all we'll have left to do is make Zut jokes.
Yeah.
In a 60-minute documentary, a well-known trusted source, they reported that the Twin Tower bomber Ramzi Youssef converted from radical Islam to Christianity. Your opinion. Do you regret leaving YouTube? MW. Do I regret leaving YouTube? Who left YouTube?
Why did you leave YouTube, man?
What is this? I'm interested in this guy converting to Christianity. Your opinion. You're actually speaking to us on YouTube right now, and then MW. That would normally stand for Mike Winger, but who would just leave random Mike Winger initials on a
Why did
super
you
chat?
leave YouTube, man?
That would be super creepy. Cosmic Observer. Brian Long says that reference with the Quranic ring must be before Uthman burned it. I was actually thinking maybe there were variants and stuff that didn't last. But I think there are enough. See, what you had there is kind of like a reverse of what a bunch of passages say. But you have all these passages. The Quran is confirming your book and implying that you should confirm the Quran in return. So you actually have a bunch of those kinds of verses, which sounds like the gist. It's kind of reversed than how it's putting it. But I might just go through all the Islamic dilemma verses and see if it matches one particular verse better than others. I guess the only way to really settle it would be to talk to someone who like knows Syriac and say, okay, how could they have concluded that this is the translation or something like that? Jack Ray says, does Grok make Winger level dad jokes? Probably,
Yes.
if you program it to be as nerdy as possible. And Mikhail said, still wild to me that AP is Christian now. Just watch one of his old debates before he was saved. Still wild to me. God bless you guys. That is weird, isn't it?
It is strange. Yeah.
It is strange. It is strange. All right, AP, we're going to be live tomorrow.
Yeah.
We're trying to do a bunch of live streams, guys, because I'll be out of town Friday and Saturday, and then AP will be out of town shortly after that for a long time. So we were
Long time. For a long time.
long time ago.
I've been gone for a long time.
All right, you're saying we're going to be live on your channel tomorrow?
Yes.
Oh, another little piece of good news.
What?
So there's already a website. Islamicdilemma.com. Islamicdilemma.com. There's no way to contact anyone on the website. Somehow, Chris ended up in contact because I wanted to buy the domain because I want to make a massive Islamic Dilemma hub that has everything. It has all the videos, it has all the passages, it has everything a Muslim can bring up and responses, so that anyone who wants to run the argument, you just go to one place, the website. You've got everything you need for any discussion you could possibly have. Basically want something there to where it's got everything. If you've got it, you read through it, you could jump up on stage and debate a Muslim on it. You've got everything. You've got responses to everything. Wanted to do that. Could do that on various, you could pick any domain to do that, but really would be nice to have islamicdilemma.com. Anyway, couldn't figure out how to contact the dude, but Chris ended up in contact with him and gave me his email address. And I said, hey, I would like to buy that domain to turn it into the one-stop shop for everything related to the Islamic dilemma. And the guy said, done. So I'm going to have to figure out, would be happy to put a good bit of money into it to get it really, really well done website. Cause I suck at tech stuff, but we'll try and figure out who would be a good team for that. And I would like something where we just send them the information and the articles and they make it beautiful and easy to use. Might even want some sort of app, some sort of Islamic dilemma app where, having a discussion with a Muslim and boom, you're wrong. Here's why you're wrong. Good time.
I'm thinking maybe there should be an Islamic dilemma song.
Yeah, but it's weird because you don't want it like too hard. And you don't want it like too, it's got to be like reggae-ish, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
It's got to be like
That's a good idea.
reggae type.
That's a good idea.
Mellow, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think I have a perfect title for it. It's called "Who Told You to Judge by It."
Yeah, that would actually fit with what I was just kind of humming, right? Let me think.
Yeah.
Who told you to judge by it if it's broken? It could just be that. Just roll with that, man.
Oh, yeah, that's good. That's good. That's good.
Got to do it.
I'll
Got to
look
do it. Your opinion of Ramzi becoming Christian from Islam? Well, I just told you. I don't know. I haven't looked into it yet. I mean, obviously, if a guy became Christian, that's really, really cool, super awesome, good news. But I'm not familiar with the story. So I screenshotted it. I will check that out because, I mean, that might be good to let people know. If there's a good article, I can always share that. Or if there's some interesting stuff there, could be good for a video. We'll see. Oh, and Danny Berger here. My friend has seriously considered ending it, and I cannot endure this pain alone like I am. I just need some others to pray with me, please. Even there, not sure what you mean by ending it. Like ending his life or ending friendship or ending relationship or...
I think that means life. So
yeah. All right, guys. So you have more details on how to pray for Danny Berger and his friend. You have it. All right. So people are saying they're going to pray. All right. All right, everyone. Thanks for watching. Again, link to Cameron's video is down there in the description. We just saw it. Good video, good stuff, despite the terrible accent and the constant references to pizza and spaghetti and all that stuff. Good, solid Islamic dilemma video. And it's cool because Cameron tries to add more stuff to advance the argument. So definitely want to share that. And again, there's a reason it's like around 250,000 views right now, even though it's only 10 days old. So, all right, he pulled it off. He made a good video on the Islamic dilemma. That was something that none of us had covered before. Definitely want to circulate that, share it everywhere. Got to do it. And we will see you. Hang on, another super chat just came.
10 days old, just like Daniel Kikachu's wife.
Yep. Well, just like Daniel Hakikachu's wife's mom, since he's cool with 4-year-olds, according to him. Creepy. It was the original Quran before it was corrupted by Uthman. Yeah, that's what we should start arguing. And that would be more style of like, what's his name? John Fontaine, right? It's not matching up. So you're the one with the problem. Okay, if we have this guy, if we have this Christian, and he says this is what the Quran says, and we go to the Quran, and it doesn't say that, well, so much for your Quran. Your Quran's been changed. Nice. Your Quran's been replaced. Is that in your Quran? Is that in your Quran, John Fontaine? Is that in your Quran? Oh,
John
it's not.
Fountain?
Yeah, so we're talking about a different Quran. There are multiple Qurans. Why you got the dumb one? The dumb one that doesn't line up. All right, everyone.
So my
Catch you
question
all
is just
tomorrow.
to John Fountain, who told you to judge by it if it's broken?
That's the main question that they can't
In your
answer.
face.
See y'all tomorrow.
Anyway, see y'all.
Be based.